So we're gonna remove the laces first and then prepare for the deep clean. We're gonna clean the laces later in a water bottle, but first we're gonna clean the uppers. So I'm just gonna spray the uppers with the mixture and use a brush to like loosen everything. I want to loosen all the dirt, so I'm just gonna add a little bit more distilled water, and I'm just gonna dip my brush in the distilled water just to loosen up all of that dirt and grime. And then I'm gonna hit it again with that mixture of rejuvenator and distilled water, and just keep brushing, bro. Like brush in circles, just keep brushing, just like how you brush all your haters off. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so now we're just gonna pat the shoes with the towel and then let it air dry after we remove all of that suds. All I'm doing now is I'm gonna finish off the other shoe by deep cleaning it and then patting it dry after I'm finished. So the soles are on another class of its own, bro. Like I feel like the rubber is rusting. Like, is that even possible? Because I know there's no iron in the rubber, but it looks like it's rusting. That's how bad they are. So we're gonna, instead of using soap and water, we're gonna use sole sauce to deep clean the rubber sole, to lift up all the stains and also whiten the rubber at the same time. So after applying the sole sauce, we're just gonna leave them out in the sun. So now that we've taken care of the rubber sole, it's time to take care of the separation that's on the shoe. In order to do this properly, we're going to remove that factory adhesive by placing tape on the areas where we don't want to put acetone on, because we will be using cotton balls and acetone to remove and lift up the existing factory adhesive. Now, to make this process a little faster, I'm going to be using a heat gun to melt the adhesive so my acetone can eat up the factory adhesive a lot better. You already know what it is. I'm going to be using Bark Cement Super Stick, the best glue to sole swap and to fix any separations. And I'm going to be using a Q-tip for these small areas. I don't need no brush since it is only a quick touch-up. So I'm gonna wait 5 minutes for the adhesive to cure. After 5 minutes, I'm gonna heat up the glue and I'm gonna clamp them together so it'll be a perfect bond. Now we're gonna move on to repainting the midsole. So all I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna tape up the midsole and the uppers, so when I put my Rayleigh Restorations Midsole Magic, it doesn't get on the uppers. So I'm gonna be using Midsole Magic to remove that factory white paint so it doesn't damage the midsole, and it's a lot more faster than straight up acetone if I were to just strip it with acetone. So after applying Midsole Magic on the midsole, I'm going to scrape it off with an X-Acto knife. I feel like it's a little safer than anything else that I've used. It doesn't dig in the midsole, so I just feel more comfortable using an X-Acto knife, but whatever you feel comfortable with, you're more than welcome to use that. So I'm gonna clean up the excess residue with acetone, but I'm only gonna lightly apply my cotton balls and acetone on the midsole so it doesn't damage the midsole. So our next step is to repaint the midsole, but first we're gonna retape the midsole because what we did to remove the midsole paint damaged the existing tape. So we're gonna take off that tape, retape it for a fresh, new, clean look, and then after all that's taped up, we're going to start painting the midsole white. I've added saran wrap on the uppers just to give it a little bit extra protection, just to ensure that my clumsy ass doesn't get anything on the uppers while I'm repainting them. And for this repaint, I've applied about 7 to 8 coats of white paint before applying my varnish of Krylon Matte Finisher. You can see that this process is taking me a little longer than it normally does because the midsole isn't really quite adapted to the paint that I'm using, so I have to use more coats of white in order for me to not see through the paint. So now that we finished repainting the midsole, we're going to apply a varnish on the midsole to give it that factory look. So we're halfway done with this restoration. All we have to do now is clean up the laces. All I'm doing is I'm gonna put them in bottled water, put water inside. It doesn't matter if it's distilled or not. You can use tap water. And I'm gonna be putting laundry detergent in there to really loosen up all that dirt and grime and then shake it all up. And after it's been shaken up, I'm just gonna rinse it with water to further remove the dirt and grime that is embedded within the fabric. So once you have everything set, all we have to do now is just close the cap and just shake it all up. You know what I'm saying? So we've let the mixture sit for about a couple of hours and you can see how dirty that water is. You can see the sediments going all the way down and just sitting there. I'm not sure if it's picking it up, but it's all the way at the bottom. And all I'm gonna do is just take all that water out of the bottle and I'm gonna rinse it with water and then just put it back on the shoe. So now we're going to be doing something that I've never seen anyone do before, which is renewing the chrome on the cool gray 4's. So I'm going to be using nail polish remover to remove the paint on the back tabs. And then I'm going to tape up the back tabs and using an X-Acto knife to trace the Jumpman and peel the tape off so I get a good outline of the Jumpman for when I spray the Jumpman again with a chrome finish. So I'm using a clear tape for an obvious reason where I don't cut through the Jumpman by accident. At least I know where the outline is and I can avoid damaging the Jumpman by doing this. So I'm gonna protect the uppers with Saran wrap so I don't get any overspray on the uppers while I'm doing this step. This is actually really necessary. It's not like an option because if you do decide to spray the back panel, it will get on the rest of the shoe. So I made sure I'm in a well ventilated area because this is very toxic, and I just spray six inches away, back and forth, and let it dry for about 30 minutes before applying my high gloss finish. And the brand that I use is Rust-Oleum. You can buy this at Walmart or at Home Depot. So the last thing I need to do, which I almost forgot, is to decrease the toe box. So all I'm using is an iron, a wet t-shirt, and I'm just gonna let steam do its work and flatten out the toe box.